Hey folks, welcome to another brand new episode of CPOV Autographs. Sorry I sound like crap. I've got a post-con bug after PAX East, which was a blast. Thankfully, it's not COVID. I've tested several times and it's negative, so just the usual con crud. But I briefly wanted to let you know what this episode was about before we jump in. I am chatting with the band The Surrealists. They are a psychedelic indie rock band that I have the pleasure of knowing through one Dora Nyden, but the band members are, of course, Will Feeney, Adam Klebeck, Tilio, Alejandro Quiles, and Dora Nyden, as previously mentioned. They are all awesome. They play a variety of instruments, both in production and, of course, live. And their newest album, As the Tides Rise, is out now. And we chat about how the band came to be, what went into making this album during a pandemic, and what they see as the future for this band as they continue to grow. So thanks for listening and enjoy my incredible interview with the members of The Surrealists. I've been doing this a long time, and I don't know if Dora's told you, but I'm friends with her father. Danny and I go way back. Danny knows my spouse really well, and so that's how this connection happened. And
I was at their wedding. Fun
fact. That's awesome, dude.
And so
I love that.
And so when your friend says my daughter has a new album, you should check it out. You have expectations, right? Especially if it's first album, whatever. You're like, all right, this will probably be pretty good, but because they're a musical family, but I was like, there's probably going to be, it's going to be garagey and, kind of rough. The production quality is incredible on this record, frankly.
Okay. All in.
Yeah. So I very much enjoy it. And so I'm excited to dig into it and talk about it a bit.
It's kind of funny. My sister told me something similar. She's at Northwestern, and she showed it to a bunch of her Northwestern-y friends and said hey, my brother's in a band. And they're like, oh, okay, college age brother is in a band. It's probably really low effort, 3-chord punk or something.
Yeah.
And she said they listened to it and they were like, this is your brother? And I was like, no, this is the 4 people that he works with and him playing bass.
I think we all do that. I think we're all like, this is you. It's like, wow, it's more other people than me. It's all of us, man. Come on now.
Cool. All right. Well, let's get started. I'm really excited for this month's episode of CPOV Autographs. I am chatting with the incredible band, The Surrealists. I am going to take a moment and a beat and let each of them introduce themselves. Let's start with Will, and then we'll go Will, Adam. We'll just go around that way and till all 5 have introduced themselves. So starting with Will.
Cool. Hi. I'm Will Feeney. I'm from Evanston, Illinois. And I am one of the original 3 Surrealists, I guess, if we want to call it that. And I play bass and the occasional keyboard and guitar.
Hi, I'm Adam Klebeck. I'm originally from Bridgeview, Illinois. And I'm not one of the founding members of the band. I came on a little later, but I'm the keyboardist for the group.
Should I go? I'm gonna go next. Who cares? I'm Tilio from Evanston. I am one of the big 3, one of the faces on Vices. I play guitar. That's about it, dog. I play guitar and I provide moral support when Ale's mixing. I'm not gonna claim that I did any of that. It's mostly him, and I'm going, yeah.
I'm Alejandro Quiles. I played the computer and the record button on this record, as well as kind of the drums, I think.
What do you mean, kind of?
I didn't do a single. I didn't drum anything on this album. You played drums.
Okay, I played drums, according to Tilda.
You're forced to play drums.
Yeah, I'm Dora, and I know you already, but
yes.
I write lyrics and I sing a little bit on everything except for a couple things.
I sing a little bit, aka all of the vocals on the album minus Moonlit Sky backup. I listened to the album.
So I'm so excited to have all of you here. Of course, I know of the band through Dora. I'm friends with Dora, and I'm friends with Dora's father. And I was told about the band actually before the album came out. I think the last time I saw you in person, Dora, you'd mentioned the band. We talked about doing this. Thank you for your patience, by the way, as I scheduled this. The first few months of this year has been a nightmare in a good way, but it's just been a lot.
Oh, what?
Well, I mean, and a nightmare in a bad way. Depends on how you look at it. But I guess the first thing I want to ask is, so I've listened to the album a bunch. I really dig it. I love this. It's this kind of indie rock, like, I don't know, psychedelic mix. Like, I don't even know how to really describe it.
That may or may not have been the goal.
That good, great.
Yeah, you hit the nail right on the head.
Excellent. And like, but also with Dora's vocals, it has this kind of Florence and the Machine vibe too. I'm a big Florence fan, so like I hear a lot of that in a lot of music. But I guess to start, you guys teased it in the beginning. The band was originally, I believe, 3 people, and then you've grown since then. So I guess talk a little bit about that first. Obviously, you've had other music before this, like what is your essentially debut record. So talk about like the band's origins and maybe why you evolved into a larger outfit.
If you guys don't mind, I want to take this one because I love this story. No, I'm not take the whole thing, but it started off just because I knew Alejandro through some friends of mine, and I've known Will since freshman year for marching band.
7th grade, actually.
So, 7th grade. I forgot.
We made some EDM together.
Oh my god, we made the ice cream truck. Oh my god. Wow. Okay, we're going deep. I'm determined not to tangent. So basically, we all knew each other, but like we didn't know. Like we all knew each other individually, but we're like, oh my god, we're cool. We have similar music taste. Let's make a song. It started out as literally just like, let's jam, dude.
Right.
And the first thing we ever made, it was on January 4th of either 2019 or 2020. I remember that forever because I had just gotten back from Iowa. I remember that song made it onto Vices. That's Mystic Knights of the Third Channel. And we re-recorded everything. But that was the genesis of the band was literally just, we're going to make a song. And it worked so well that we made another and then another and then another. And I think how we expanded, man, is we just had one tune, World 1-1, where Will's like, oh, I know this guy Adam. He's a really good keyboard player. I think he'd do some damage on this tune. I think he just one-taked it. Like, I could be wrong. I think he just one take.
I'm not that good, dude.
Oh, you're not? Okay, maybe I'm wrong.
There were 2 takes. The first take was flawless, but we re-recorded it with distortion. So we can splice between them.
Yeah, he's not that good because we forgot to add distortion.
Just a testament to this man's playing. Like, he hadn't met any of us. We played him this song with a click track, like, and he immediately he was just vibing with it like it was a live band. It was insane.
Love that.
It was amazing, dog. And then also, little bonus, I had never met Adam before. Will had been hyping him up as this amazing keyboard player the first day that I met him. And then Adam was sat down at the keyboard about to go. Ale hit play on the track, and it was the stupidest, like, cheesiest, like, bullshit synth melody that played through Ableton. And I thought that was Adam playing. Like, this amazing keyboard player, and it's this, like, total, like, do 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 do, like,
amazing.
And we had a laugh. That was like a 5-minute laugh, dude.
It originated from me sound checking the synth earlier, and
but Ale recorded it, I think, like, because it got played back, and that's like that's an OG Surrealist meme.
I'm like socially terrible, so I was very nervous going into that entire session. Once that happened, I was like, okay,
we're good.
Yeah, we're good. We got this.
I love that, dude. That was so great. That was very much like. And then we played a show, and I remember Adam asked me, he was like, "Am I a Surrealist now?" And I'm like, "I kind of thought you were, dog." Like, I guess that's fair. It was a fair question to ask because we never said it out loud, and I was like, I just kind of assumed you were in the band at this point. But Dora, if someone else wants to hop in and provide,
I think
story.
Will can take it.
Oh no, you're good.
Will.
I wanted to actually backtrack a little bit and talk a little about our influences, because I know that's kind of what initially made us so, at least for me, so inclined for us to work together, was because we had such, similar desires for what we wanted to make, but such different backgrounds for what we listened to. Like, I know Tilio and I at the time we were starting, we had a band. Not at the time we were starting, before back in high school, we had a band where we just played kind of. What would you even? We just played generic rock. We were gonna play at a block party, and then the gig fell through, and then the band was over. But we were
No. The gig did not fall through. We played, and we played terrible.
Did?
Yeah, we played
God.
horrible, god awful, dude.
I must have blocked it out.
Dude, yeah, you definitely did.
Yeah,
we played horrible. Yeah, but we did play one gig as Channel 3, Doug.
Yes, and that's where the name Mystic Knights of the Third Channel comes from. Actually, it's Channel 3.
There is a slight bonus because Oingo Boingo, the band Oingo Boingo, was originally supposed to be called Mystic Knights of the Oingo Boingo, which is so awesome. And so I combined the two concepts together into Mystic Knights of the Third Channel. Right, that song is always gonna have a little place in my heart.
Oh yeah, but I know I was like, I'd met Alejandro at a jazz camp actually. I was like, "Yo, you play jazz cello?" And he's like, "I don't know. I'm mostly a producer." And I'm like, "Oh, you're a producer? I'm a producer too." And then he showed me the stuff he was making. And I was like, "No, I'm not."
I had a really similar experience meeting Alejandro.
Yeah. No, and it was we all had these same kind of like we were all sort of playing like jazz music or jazz adjacent music, and that kind of background sort of informed how we played our instruments. Like it's all got this super improvisatory lean. I think Tilio is notorious for insisting that we record every time he's noodling on guitar, just in case he records something he likes, because he knows he won't be able to recreate it.
I have to go back and learn it if I play something I like. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just we came from this super improv like experimental background that it's not as apparent like when you listen to our finished products, because Alejandro is a genius. It makes it sound polished. But it's interesting like hearing that background combined with like all the different like Tilio was big. I don't even know, like Green Day fan. What did you listen to?
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you want to expose me like that, if you really just want to put me on blast on
Blink-182
show, yeah, all right, sure. Yeah, Blink-182. Throw in My Chemical Romance, why don't you?
Yeah,
it's true.
Don't be ashamed of that. Don't you dare be ashamed of that. Don't
MCR.
Don't talk down about MCR. Don't do that. Just don't.
Oh no. MCR is amazing. I love MCR. Green Day a little less so, because I was defending their new album, and like that's just a bad take. But
sorry, didn't mean to open a whole can of worms there. You had this kind of punk rocky like lean to your.
I did. Yes.
Ale, I know at the time you were kind of like into sort of like Bjork and I want to say Aphex Twin.
Yeah, it was
Mercury Rev
has been Radiohead.
Yeah.
And Mercury Rev and Bjork and all those.
Yeah.
But Radiohead, like.
Mm-hmm. And for me, I was just at that point starting to really get into like Grateful Dead, which is unfortunate for.
Oh, and then the common theme of Funkadelic as well is super critical.
Yeah. So this has totally been a tangent on my end, but it's a weird combination of the bands that like none of us had in common versus the like completely unifying factors that I think tied our like early projects together.
That's a great way of putting it.
Thank you. And then that made it super easy to bring on like, oh, we're writing, we want to put some, some really, really sick lyrics, but like a catchy hook on top of that. Also, cool. I met this friend at school, Dora, who writes poetry and one time sang for me, and it was really, really, really good. So I'm going to totally expose her. And then, oh yeah, my roommate is like the most killing synth player I've ever heard. So like he could totally shred over this, and it all.
I'd like to state for the record that the poetry that Will is referring to was a sonnet that I wrote about dicks. Like, can I swear?
Yeah.
Yes.
This is all you. Yeah.
It wasn't like heartfelt poetry.
And no, this is my first time ever interacting with Dora, by the way.
Yeah. It was something I wrote because my friend was being belligerent and complaining about how hard sonnets were to write, and I was equally belligerent, and I was like, yeah, try me. And he was like, okay, write one. And I was like, okay, what about? And he went, penis. And I went, okay. So that's the poetry he's referencing.
Is that what you sang for Will that time?
No, that wasn't a song. That was what I read at like the freshman year talent show here.
I was about to say.
I believe I sang Will a sea shanty I wrote.
Nice.
Yes, it was fantastic.
That sounds pretty Dora.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's awesome. I think that all of I'm glad you brought all that up, Will, because I can hear those influences in the newest album. I want to talk a little bit about. So obviously, it seems like the band, for the most part, came together during the pandemic. I'm curious, especially since y'all had done some band related stuff before the pandemic, so you did do some in-person stuff. I'm guessing a lot of the early recordings and even the writing and the putting together of the album must have happened over Zoom calls and over like remote. I mean, you're at school together, but I know that you weren't always at school. Do you feel like that was a harder process because you weren't together in the same space?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll let Ollie
I
field that
think
one.
so. Yeah.
I think, well, first of all, I want to jump back to what Will and Tilio were being so incredibly sweet to me and saying very kind things about my production, which I still debate. But yeah, I was like, I mean, it was around the time I kind of started music around high school. So I had like cultivated this studio in the spare room of my house. And yeah, around the time I met Will and Tilio, I mean, you know, from my perspective, it was equally as thrilling to meet these like incredibly talented individuals who have only continued to bring more talented people into my life. So I am very grateful to both of them. But yeah, so I had this spare room in my house, and then it was like getting to this point that everybody was super excited about, and I had all this gear that I was really into. And then right around the peak of that space, COVID hit, and I couldn't do anything with it. So I tore everything apart and moved it all to my leaky, dungeony basement in a desperate attempt to have people come over and be collaborative with me. So my parents were willing to let me pursue my career in the basement during COVID with masks on, and we had to have all the windows open. So it was like freezing cold. But I'm very grateful to my family, especially for putting up with that very difficult time, and yeah, and letting us all record down there. So from the technology perspective, it was very frustrating and painful for the beginning of COVID. I remember after sessions, I would like run down there with a tube filled with bleach wipes, and my mom would like watch me from the stairwell and make sure that I like wiped everything down, you know. It's like, so but it proved to be very worth it, and I think some of my fondest recording memories happened in that basement, that freezing cold basement. So
I fully agree, dog. I actually have a specific story from when the first day that we all got together when we were all vaccinated, like when it was first available, like we were on it. And I'm fairly certain that that first day that we were all back together and vaccinated, I think that's when we first played Clear Coat, which
Yes.
you can hear on our Instagram as well, which I recently rediscovered that, oh my God, there's totally just a video of us playing it for the first time that was up on Instagram. And we were like, maybe it'll be on the album. And here we are, like, album's out. That song, I always, I'm so very flattered when people are like, that's my favorite song on the album. Because that's literally a riff I wrote in high school when I sucked. I was so bad at guitar. Oh my God.
It's
It was like the
funny
one thing I could play.
because I remember you playing it in high school a couple times.
Oh my God, because I couldn't play anything else. So whenever I got a guitar in my hands,
You could play that riff, but in like different keys.
you just discovered how I play guitar.
I think another like interesting element of like remoteness was that I live in a different place than them. So
Yeah.
like even though the fact that it was remote was like awful, it also was what made me able to be a part of this and do this project, because the way that we did things, like the part of like how I joined the band originally was during COVID, and like I got sent a track and I had this FaceTime call with Will that was like the most, I mean, Will and I like weren't close at the time. Like we didn't know each other very well. It was like a different friend of ours that was going to sing on it that did end up singing on this track, I think was kind of the
Shout
middleman
out
of that for them.
Callie.
Yes, we love Callie. She's amazing, opera singer, so good. And we had this like FaceTime call where Will gave me the most like confounding instructions of everything I need. It's like a paragraph in my notes I was
Oh my
typing while
god,
we
I
were talking.
remember that.
And I
I
was
think
like,
I talked about
what?
Camus for like 3 hours, and
And you were like the 3 stages of absurdism, and I was like, who are you? Like it was insane.
There's
And
stages.
then
What is it? A
or
festival?
the three
Yeah.
like the big three, you know?
solutions.
Yeah,
I
and so
remember
like
you calling me after that to be like, "Can you decode Will Feeney?" And I'm like, "Dude, if I could, I
yeah,
would have."
and you didn't, and it was fine.
No, I didn't at all.
The funny thing is, because I just like remembered this, a lot of the promotion that happened for that specific song was Ale and Tilio actually came up to Oberlin one weekend
Yeah.
and tracked vocals for that.
Oh
And, like,
yeah.
yeah.
Whoa. In an Airbnb, and then like an Airbnb.
In that, yeah, just the most bizarre Airbnb that you'll ever find
Super
anywhere.
cool place.
It was great.
That was a crazy. I wish I could have seen that place. But basically,
I
the
know.
end of that was just that, like, the way that we would do things was they would just send me a track, and after that, I didn't end up getting any more real instructions for like narratives. Like the next one I got, because they were like, "Oh, it's just gonna be this one song," and then Will was like, "Actually, can you do another song?" And I was like, "Well, we workshopped one that he wrote lyrics for," and then he was like, "Can you do another?" And I was like, "Sure, man. Like, why not?" And then so it became this process of me like getting things, but the only way that any of these people heard me sing was because of just a shitty microphone recording I had of myself. It was never in person until like way later, even after like I think like 6 months to 8 months later.
And this was before you were a part of the band too. I mean,
Yeah, I was just like a ghostwriter.
Fair
I did
amount.
almost all of it, and that's when I met Ali and Tilio in person.
Just like a big like 2-month sprint of like everything.
1 month sprint.
What was it? One? Oh yeah.
Not 2 months. I pushed my luck with the
I
Phoenix,
don't
but
know
not
how
that much.
long time is.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think? I'd keep track of time?
Yeah, and I stayed in Will's attic the whole time I was recording vocals, and it was the first time I'd ever recorded something in person, and I was terrified, and so I kept dropping things in his house.
Right.
And parking the car in the middle of the street. Going to Yay, car parking.
All right. But yeah, no, it was like because of the nature of things needing to be virtual, that was what made it possible for me to start being in this group. So it's kind of a double-edged thing.
That is a good way to look at it.
It's incredible like that it worked out that way, but I think that the time that we've lived through and that we continue to live through has made some of this harder, but a lot of it easier because more people are learning how to do this work this way, right?
Yeah.
I think that
And,
was
like, we're
common
doing
for some
this.
people. Yeah, exactly. Like I'd been doing Zoom call interviews before the pandemic just because it was easier. Like I started interviewing people who weren't where I was, and so they couldn't come to my apartment to record. But like then everyone was doing this, and more people were willing to do it because there were no other ways to do it. I'm curious. It sounds like the early writing process was the majority of the band did like wrote something and then would send it to Dora to record. I'm guessing eventually that evolved to a more collaborative process as you guys got to be in the same space, or is it mostly like music comes together and then Dora writes lyrics? Like, I'm curious what the process was kind of like.
Definitely like to think it's become more streamlined, but that's
something in me tells me that it might have always been like this. Actually, like
I mean, I think it's kind of a mixture of the two, because I think that like it started with just like this is the finished song.
Mm-hmm.
Like now I have opinions, you know what I mean? Like and because
Shorty,
like,
you always had opinions.
I'm Jewish. What do you want from me? I'm a Jew from New York. We have to, or else we shrivel into a little ball.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like, don't tell me you didn't have opinions when you weren't like. But now they matter. Now we have to listen to them. You know
exactly. But like, yeah, I think that the order of operations is similar to what it was, and it's like still I get to treat it like a little puzzle. But I think like the way that it feels is different now for sure.
It's gotten a little cleaner because we're all more used to it.
Yeah, like speaking from the perspective of someone who kind of like just saw things come at me and then I hit the big red button to record them, like I felt like it was our workflow has always been traditionally like very backwards, and like in the context of modern songwriting, like we do it very wrong, but it works very well, and I think it like definitely shapes the way our music comes out in a way. And Yeah, it was very interesting because it was that kind of long stretch, or actually very relatively very short stretch of time to do all of the vocals for an entire LP over winter term.
Winter term is a thing at Oberlin where you get like a month to work on a project, by the way, just to explain that.
Yeah.
I went to Chicago basically to just record. That was my project, was recording this.
Wow.
And fun fact about that is that I was not in college and I didn't have a winter term, so I was full time in school during the process of recording these vocals.
In high school, dog, which is so
I was
crazy
worried
to me
about you.
still.
It was very stressful, but I would literally run home on my free periods and they would meet me at my house and I would set up to let them continue recording. And then I would have Will run Pro Tools and then I'd go back for gym class and then come back home and keep recording.
Amazing.
It not sustainable, but it was one of the
Luckily, we don't got to sustain it anymore.
exactly. But it was very enjoyable and I have very fond memories. And I do feel like there was this, like, because the original plan was that we were going to try to do all of the actual takes in Will's closet in his dorm room, because I remember when he got his new room we were all like so excited that he had a closet with a window in it. And so we were like, that's
Awesome.
Man, the shit we get excited about.
yeah, exactly. It's like it was dire times. So, we were like, okay, this is what we're doing. Like, we're gonna do all the vocals in this closet. And then at a certain point, we started realizing that just some part of the energy of just like being in a we realized that we had this time coming up where they could both come back to Chicago for a while and we could have kind of like just dedicated time and space to work on it. And so I felt like when that happened, a lot of the writing that Dora had done on her own, we were able to kind of unwrap. It was very much like Christmas because it's like we'd never really had like vocals on our music before.
Yeah, dude.
It was like so exciting. And so we just got, every song was like a new surprise and she kind of outdid herself every single time. And yeah, it was just really thrilling. And so it felt like it became a lot more creative and we kind of got into this flow during that month where we were like working on it all day, every day. So
yeah, man. I actually, real fast, I want to throw this in there to hopefully help rectify some of my past sins. I used to not care at all about lyrics or vocals in general, and Dora is abundantly aware of that. But my compliment to her is like, eventually, I don't know when, I forget exactly when, but like Dora kind of made me care about lyrics a little more. Especially because like we would just hand her like mental like music vomit, like dude, it like me and Will
Best way
and
to put
like
it, yeah.
Ale was there to like, I think it is like those sessions, like the three of us, our sessions were literally just like, Will has perfect pitch and is going to Oberlin for jazz composition. I am a guy who owns a guitar. And somehow there was this magical thing that we were able to grab out of thin air. I think Frank Zappa had a quote that said, recording with Captain Beefheart is like throwing a bunch of silverware in the air, taking a picture, and then trying to perfectly recreate that picture. And that's basically, we were just throwing mad silverware in the air all the time. But then Dora came in and just started writing words over it and they fit. And I didn't properly recognize how hard that was for a while. But somewhere along the line, I really was like, oh, dude, wow, these are like actual songs now. They're not like MP3 files of demos that me and Will recorded where you can hear the click track in the recording of the guitar. Like,
that's ambiance.
It was, sure, yeah.
We'll die on this
choice.
hill.
Yeah, whatever. Lo-fi, who cares? Whatever. Anyway, I just want to throw that out there that like, Dora, I very much appreciate your vocals. And I also got a lot of bits out of not appreciating them, but those are all bits. It's like that shit tied the whole album together. My mom told me that. My mom was like, yeah, you guys were kind of mid before, but now Dora kind of like tied it all together. She said that.
Was she
Anyway,
wrong?
I wanted that out there, just in the public space, you know.
Well, it's funny because it's funny that you talk about it that way, because there are bands over the years who have gone from mostly instrumental to using vocals or like shifting their style. Tons of bands have done it in a ton of different ways. But what I noticed with this record is like, and some of my favorite vocalists are not like Dora often says that she's the mouth. And I think that's an interesting way to put it, because it's an instrument, and like vocals are always an instrument, but some vocals feel more kind of cookie cutter to the music, which is fine, especially in pop music. Some of my favorite pop music is just kind of fitting or just like kind of rhyming, not really like varying, right? It's just a delivery. But what I love about Dora's delivery is it's never consistent. It is often a little all over the place, different highs and lows. And I think what makes the Surrealists, for me as a band, kind of stand out is that you're treating the whole experience as this musical session. It's not just music and lyrics. It's more than that. It's this kind of like collaboration that I feel is not always present in other rock outfits or psychedelic outfits.
It's really funny that you say that, because the conversations that we've had, especially me, because during winter term, like the recording at Ollie's house was like the three of us like saw each other an unhealthy amount. Like it was just hours and hours and hours of the three of us. And then whenever Ollie would leave, me and Will would get up to nefarious things. But
awful things.
I just tuned back into this. Homie of mine walked in. I just tuned back into this to hear me and Will getting up to nefarious things. Immediately, the hidden verse of
the rat. Yes, that is
Rat
what I was
Bastard
talking
comes
about.
on.
Yes, we made like a fake verse to a song that ended up getting cut, but it was, oh my god.
How it ended up getting cut? That was made to be cut. I'm sorry.
No, the song.
Oh, the song got cut. I thought you
Girl.
meant like, yeah, the verse was gonna make it on the song, but
no,
anyway,
that was
sorry.
purely for our pleasure. No,
a million
but
percent. It gave us a good laugh.
I think I've talked to Will and a lot to Ollie about like vocals as an instrument, and I like want both of you to talk more about this. But it is just funny that you say that, considering like the hours of conversation that have gone into that exact subject.
Yeah, it's I can also admit, like Tilio, I did not give vocals as a concept their due respect until.
Oh yeah, we bonded over that.
Yeah, well,
like early days, yeah.
Well, because we're both two semi-emotionless lads, and vocals are usually.
That is exactly how I would put it, my friend. Yeah,
but vocals have this very clear. I mean, the way I view music is as I mean, this sounds so cliche nowadays, but music for me is communication, and what I like about that, as opposed to like written language, is that every listener, every audience gets their own interpretation of what I'm trying to communicate, or what any songwriter is trying to communicate. So
vocals are pretty literal, you know.
Yeah. So my reservation with adding vocals initially was what's going to lose that interpretiveness, and then the point isn't going to get across as well. But then when you have someone like Dora, who is not only such a, I promise I'm not just trying to sound like I'm like showering you with praise. This is genuinely how I feel, but who is at the same time such a good writer, and someone who is so capable as a friend of like understanding whatever abstractions are going on in here. That was pretty much the only way I was willing to kind of concede that side of the group. And I will admit, I definitely did like have some reservations at first, but like the more I listen to like all of our final products, I'm like, we're not the Surrealists without this vocal performance and without these lyrics.
Dora had her work cut out for her infiltrating this group of emotionless, music-minded goons.
Hacks.
I mean, my favorite story that comes to mind is like, well, this is kind of putting you on blast here because I very vividly remember this.
That's the theme of tonight's party, man. Let's go for it.
Your reservations to initially having Dora as a vocalist were, we wanted to make this group a Wolfpack-like collective.
I remember that.
In which there's a core three group of people.
I was on Will's side for that.
Oh my god! I know he said that like so many times.
So many times.
Yeah, let's take a core 3 and then we just add people here and
Well, because okay, I'm not even gonna try to defend myself.
I still, I tacitly I was. Don't let Will take all the blame because I was definitely at least one of the voices behind that. It's just like eventually after you get after someone contributes enough to where like their voice is present, like when you play As the Tides Rise from front to back, you hear Adam's voice and Dora's voice really, really clearly. And it's like if you hear them song by song, that's fair. But if someone's like contributing to the image and sound, more importantly, the sound of a band, they're a part of it. You know, like it's kind of ties back. Like when Adam was just like, "Am I a surrealist?" I'm like, I kind of thought you already were.
Yeah.
Like I just really missed the drama of when we're like, who is and isn't a surrealist. Like it's eventually there's this weird line, this unspoken thing that we cross, and then it's like you go from a collaborator to you're just part of the band. Like you show up on enough songs and effortlessly blend with whatever the core 3 have laid out. It's like fucking that's it. Like especially especially with vocals. It's like we had been searching for a vocalist, even if we wouldn't admit it. Like me and Will would not admit that we were looking for a vocalist. But I had Jay Fish in mind.
Jacob Fisher,
who by the way, yeah, Jacob Fisher, loved, amazing guy. He sang
lead vocals on Planned Obsolescence.
Yes, off of Vices. And I had him in mind. Like I was like, let's get you on a song for the new album. We didn't know what it was going to be called yet. And literally before I could even be like, what song would Jacob like? What should he? There were lyrics for all of them, and they were Dora's, and they fit and they worked, and it was great. And that's when you're like, fucking all right. No matter how much you want to be like, oh, it's our core 3, and then we build. Eventually, if someone's voice, if someone leaves their mark on a multitude of songs, like eventually you got to be like, they're in the band, and it's not even like a begrudging thing. It's just like it's a weird.
There's no reason to
eventually we cross.
Yeah,
you know?
there's no reason to try and question it.
Not at all.
I have another thought relating to both the addition of vocals and also kind of like the collaborative process. But to me, I mean, so, obviously we know now how, abstract our and kind of backwards our process has been. But I always felt like the addition.
Dare I say how surreal our process
exactly. I was trying not to.
Fired.
Get out.
But the
I had a good run
of vocals, and not only, I mean, obviously Dora's vocals specifically, at least to me, like really, and I think to all of us, like really kind of let us view our instrumentals in a more emotional light. Like I think she was able to not only add more of an emotional component to them, but also somehow, and Dora, I hope you can maybe explain this because I'm still trying to wrap my head around it, but it felt like you were pulling a story out of the song that was already there and that we'd already put into it and we weren't quite aware of it yet. And you were like, in a sense, the best analogy I can think of is like kind of reharmonizing. Will, you might hate that terminology because I'm not
honest.
sure.
I love it because that fits us so well. Of course, we got to lean on the obscure music theory terminology to make sense of any emotional vocals. She doesn't know what that means. It fully fits. That's so perfect. Don't doubt that for a second, Ale. That's a perfect analogy.
Thank you. Yeah, I feel like, and even just from a production aspect too, I felt like once we had kind of, because production is all about enhancing the emotional component of music, and I felt like she was bringing things out. She was kind of doing part of that job for me, like helping me uncover stuff through her vocal performance, and then I was able to dig deeper into each song, and it really like influenced kind of the mixing, production, everything process from that point forward. So
love that. I want to talk about the album specifically as the tides rise, because it's funny. Some of my favorite music has a narrative and doesn't have a narrative. And what I mean by that is like, there's clearly, especially with the vocals, there is a through line, there is a dialogue, there is a narrative there. And like, it's funny, you joke about being emotionless and like not really putting emotion, but that's obviously not true. And I know that's not true. Like in the music, you can hear the pain, the joy, whatever else, the curiosity, all of that. And I think, but it sounds to me like it's more of a, you kind of find it in the moment. You don't like go out of your way to like pre-plan that. And so I'm curious about during the writing process, obviously you're inspired by bands and artists like Radiohead. I make pantomiming, as Ali said before. But like,
dude, Matt, you pick up fast. you really got us down, dude.
But I'm curious, like, you know, there must be moments or life experience that is influencing the work, whether it's more abstract or more focused. And I'm curious if there are moments in your lives that you're pulling from for this record, you know, especially with the lyrics too, because there is a story here. And if it is, like, are those specific moments? It's a kind of how you're feeling. Obviously, this is a pandemic written record, more or less. And so I have to assume the hardships of the pandemic and just going through what we've all been going through, especially in the US personally, like that had to have influenced the writing process a bit and like where the emotional side of the record comes from.
100%. Dora, you should start on this one.
I was gonna say I have a small story about one of mine, but like I think Dora's the one to answer this.
Okay. Sure. I have a lot to say.
You're the only one with emotions. Where are we
not true?
Yeah, we
that is hyperbole for the sake of the bit.
Ollie has emotions, and Adam has emotions, and an organ.
Hey.
Also, in case you didn't know,
Adam
is actually an organist, which is just an important detail that I like to say all the time.
That actually is very important.
Like an internationally renowned
super
organist.
renowned church organist. Homie plays the keyboard with his feet. Like, how do you get better than that?
So aside from a major inspiration being Adam's feet, other than that, no, it's a really interesting question that I've thought of a lot about, because I think that with music like this, I don't know what that means actually. I don't know what music like with this music. With every song, there's kind of okay. I'll just start with the process of how I write lyrics. Is that okay?
Yeah, totally.
Basically, the way that it has gone, except for the first song, because I had a paragraph to work with. But I love I thrive on constraints and puzzles. Like that is my entire brain. I like math a lot for that reason.
Math major.
Yes, I am a math major. But oh
my god, I forgot that. Every time you tell me that, I realize that
everyone forgets all the time. I like math. But no, the way that it happens is that they sent me a track, and then I just start kind of singing to it with my brain completely off. Like I don't try and like think of things.
Right.
And then I'll get some like syllable contour lines out with melodies, and I'll do it. And sometimes I'll record it on my phone. But the thing that's the most interesting about it is that I like almost never go back and listen to it, because the stuff that sticks is stuff that it's not that I remember it, it's that the instinct is repeated.
Yeah.
It's like, so every time I sing through it, it comes back, not intentionally, it just does. So it's right to me. And so that's how kind of where the melodies come from. And then I start building lyrics with like, there's a couple different examples of like, I would say that I think like I'm gonna pull up the track list because I'm a fake fan of my own band.
Wow.
No, I just need to see it in front of me. I'm a visual.
Oh my god, dude, I get that. I don't think I've listened to the album all the way through since we've released it.
Oh, I definitely have. I listen to it all the time.
I do not.
But
I have a feeling Will definitely does, but I don't mind. I would probably still pull it up from the Google Drive if I was going to listen to it, honestly, just out of force of habit.
But basically, with some of the songs, is like I figure out what it's about kind of halfway through. It's the same. Like I'm an incredibly process oriented person. It's the same with my drawings. I don't have a picture of what they're going to be beforehand. I start sketching, then I see something in the sketch, and then I keep going in the direction that I see, and it's a rinse and repeat. So with stuff like this, so like I get like an idea for a line, and I'm like, oh, okay, I can work with that because it starts on instinct, purely instinct. And like a song like the sixth track is called Dread's Theme, and that one was based off the title, which there's a whole story there about that being a meme, and I didn't know, so I took the title seriously, but we don't need to tell that right now.
The short answer is that Dread was a nickname of someone who was in me and Tilio's other band.
Exactly. Yes. I guess that's it. That's the whole story, huh?
But I like got really hung up on that title because it inspired the whole song to me. It was just like almost because like it was a mixture of like dread, like the emotion, and also like something theme. It reminded me of like Igor's Theme by Tyler the Creator. But then more than that, that sent me to Igor the movie and then to Frankenstein. So that was a little ADHD thing.
I can see that.
That is an intriguing thought process. Yeah. Igor's theme is an interesting jump, but I dig it.
It's just the word theme and song. But so that one was much more related to a story that I kind of came up with as I was going based on the tone of the song. So it's one of the two. And then there's like a song that like 3 of 3 started as like this slow thing, and then I wrote some words, and then I kind of realized that I was naturally writing about like my relationship with my mom. And that was kind of like all of them have personal meanings to me. Like every song and every theme like Campari's about ADHD.
Especially whatever Patch 23 got renamed to.
That's 3 of 3. That's what we're talking about.
Oh, okay. I still don't know. I'm an even faker fan of my own band.
But yeah, so that one I like realized wanted to be about that. So it's kind of that process of what songs want to be about, and then listening to them and trying to fulfill that request.
What's fascinating for me as a fan of music and listening to is a variety of bands that I listen to, because I listen to literally everything from hip hop to pop to like to the Surrealists. Like I'm all over the map. Like I will fight to defend Carly Rae Jepsen. Meet me in the parking lot.
Oh hell yeah!
Any day of the week.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Side note: I respect that so much. And honestly, if anyone comes for Carly Rae, they're catching these hands, dude. Come on now.
But like what I love about music like yours is that I can listen to it two ways. Typically, I'm a very active music listener. Music is an activity, like playing video games, like watching a movie, all of that. But your album, because of how it flows, I feel like I can also passively listen to it. I can listen to it while I'm doing other work. You know, some albums require me to always be focused, but because of how you kind of go in and out of every theme and everything, and how the kind of album flows together, I found myself kind of just vibing with it and just kind of being in the moment and not really overthinking the experience, which I overthink everything. Was the structure of the album kind of set pretty easily, or did you kind of find it in the production and the process, or did you know, like, as the songs came together, Light Pollution is one and so on and so forth?
Oh man, that's a good question. I think Ale and I will probably be the mostly Ale, but I have some ideas about this. I know from the beginning. When I started recording demos for this record, it was probably, I think it was before Vices had finished, so it was like 2.5-ish years ago. And from then, like the first demo I wrote was what ended up being Stargazer. Fun fact, was originally called Mac DeMarco Type Beat, so you can see how it evolved.
Oh my god, that's bringing back memories now.
Yeah, but
I've heard all those Will demos, dude. That's a trip. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, initially, I had the idea of like, oh, maybe I can, perform this on like my junior recital or something. And then I sent it over to Alejandro, and he sent it back to me with drums. And immediately I was like, no, this has to be part of an album. And I don't think I really realized, like you were asking about like the order of the record. I don't think I realized where I wanted like everything structured super early on, but I did know I wanted that around the halfway point of a larger project, because I wanted that to be, especially like you have this like super upbeat, like dancey kind of, pop sort of song. Yeah, that's Dora's doing the Stargazer dance. But it hits this really contemplative section halfway through where it's got that like sustained like reverb, like freeze. Which, by the way, when I wrote this song, I didn't know freeze pedals existed, so I was like, oh my god, I invented a sound.
And then after you learn that they existed, we went on a hunt for anyone who owns an Electro-Harmonix freeze pedal.
And now me and Adam's housemate does, so I'll spell that out.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he got it.
Big J Clems?
Yeah.
He's got a freeze? Oh, good to know.
Jacob Clemens, for context, is the person that has he's the guitar solo on Moonlit Sky. For a little bit of context,
he is.
And he
also
performed...
has a solo project, which is fantastic.
Oh, Jacob, we are a very pro Jacob Clemens band. Like,
yes.
That man, when we played all of our shows in Ohio, he was our guitar 2 and or guitar 1, because he's way better than me. But I remember, I still remember, slight tangent, but I still remember Will being like, hey, Jacob really likes like this song. He really loves it. Is it okay if he takes a solo? I'm like, he can take all of them and I wouldn't have any right to complain. Like, giving me any of them is a favor.
Nah.
Obviously, it's a whole, but we love Jacob Clemens. He's an honorary surrealist, Great dude. He looks like a Pixar dad.
That is true. But yeah,
you don't know what I mean until you see him, and then you're like, oh yeah, he totally does.
Yeah, but it started out anyway. Started out with that one, and then the more demos I sent like later on that year, I would send over, and I think if I recall correctly, I would send them to Alejandro, and then Ali would send them to Dora, unless I have that order backwards. Okay,
definitely went through Ale first, 100%, no question.
Okay, checks out.
Ale does like quite a bit more than like just producing, I think, because I think like, I don't know, it's very weird describing what a lot of the people in this band do, because like a lot of these ideas start with Will, because Will plays every conceivable instrument under the sun.
That is true. That is worth
except for saxophone. Yeah. Can't play woodwinds. Haha.
And tambourine. Tambourine's just me.
I can play tambourine.
No one else gets to play tambourine.
You can play tambourine.
Not like me, bitch. Come on. I'm sorry.
But,
I get really defensive of my tambourine abilities.
But yeah, like there's and the same is to be said for Ale. Like those two can like brain meld like no one I've ever seen. Like the first track intro is just an insane compositional feat from the two of them together. We made it in a day, right?
2.5 hours.
2.5
Look, gotta get it right.
Come on.
God.
Yeah, give them their credit, dude. Come on.
But yeah, no, both of them are incredibly talented musicians and are able to communicate with each other in a musical way like no one I have ever seen.
Very kind.
And no, so it's
very, very true.
Like just sending it to Ollie doesn't just mean drums or like fixing it. It meant like genuine creative.
Oh yeah, compositional
building.
I probably should have specified that. When I say Alejandro is the producer, I don't mean he's the engineer. I mean he's adding compositional elements as well. That's definitely a good point, Dora. That's an important thing.
And no, and like that's the crazy part of both of you is the way that your minds work in a composite. Because like Will is, if you listen to Campari, it's the second track. Will played almost every instrument on that song. He did both solos, the keyboard solo, and he did the keyboard solo while holding a piece of pizza in his hand, eating it. It was the most angry I've ever been in my life.
That's an important piece of context. That's lore for the
No, it literally
is.
That should be the headline.
He did an
of this
arpeggio
episode.
on one of the other songs because the arpeggiator on the keyboard wasn't as good as him. Like, or not the keyboard, the Juno 60.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I thought that was Adam, but it's probably both of them actually. I remember Adam. I guess Adam was on Vices. He was doing this. I thought it was the arpeggiator on the Juno. And then at one point we stopped recording and he goes, guys, can I stop doing this now? Can I stop doing this?
But no, basically just also Ale on 3 of 3, both of them wrote, because Ale plays cello on it and it's amazing. like in terms of emotional communication, I forgot to add this before, like it's a very personal song to me. And I remember when Ale first wrote the cello part, it was like one of the few times that instruments came after lyrics, and he sent it back to me and I cried like a baby because he genuinely really, really understood me and was able to communicate feelings that I felt and feelings that he felt in the most beautiful way. And then Will was able to do the same because both of them wrote cello parts for the song that are both on there that Ale played all of. But important to know, like the way these two communicate their music is unbelievable.
I just want to hop on the pro Will Feeney train for a minute, because something I forgot to mention at the beginning about kind of our process is like, I mean, we are obviously a band without like a core songwriter, and that is like by far my favorite thing about working with these people. But I'd say that Will is, in some regards, probably the closest thing we have to the the songwriter person. And then we all, we all fill in all over the place. Um, but yeah, I mean, I remember one day just like sitting at home. I don't even remember when this was, because like, pandemic time, it's just,
it all bleeds together.
In a vacuum.
yeah, like who knows? But I was just at home and I was like, kind of dejected, like we all were. And I just remember getting this email of this Google Drive folder with like 12 Will Feeney
The
compositions.
Feeney demos, classic.
And I will cherish that collection of MP3s for the rest of my life, because it was like a glimmer of hope in like such a depressing time. And I remember,
What a quote, dude. I love that. What a quote.
I know it's insane. And I remember I would just go on walks and like listen to the demos and kind of write down like my initial thoughts about like, oh, this is what we need. And this is before we even had a clue that we were going to have vocals on any of this. So, at the time it was just like all these like frantic ideas for instrumental stuff. And yeah, it was so inspiring. And we have a very common theme in this band of like never telling each other that we're working on anything. Like none of us ever.
Yes.
Oh my God, yeah.
That he was doing this.
It's all we love the surprise, dude.
Yeah. And it was just so exciting. And but yeah, like huge, massive respect to the Fiendster, because obviously everybody contributes such unique things to this group. But he on this LP especially, he is absolutely the one that got the ball rolling and got us all re-inspired.
I don't remember what the question was. Also, I don't know how far off we are.
You're fine.
Sorry. Everyone in this band except the Ali and Adam, I think, have ADHD.
Oh man, dude, wait, did you leave me out?
No, I said everyone in this band except.
Yeah, good point. Good point. Those are the two most neurotypical. Anyway, so what I was gonna say earlier is at our first ever show at the Garage, basically
venue in Evanston, by the way.
Yes, a venue in Evanston, hosted by the great, magnificent Jacob Fisher, amazing guy. Basically, we started the show,
and basically
like,
Ale.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's a venue that Ale
yeah.
kind of does.
I mean, he's like
technical.
holding it up as well. Well, I'm getting to it. That's actually part of my little bit here, is that Ale was like, he would do the sound, a lot of the video, because Olive just dropped out. Like, he would do a lot of the background stuff for the Garage, an amazing venue like that gave a bunch, like a stage to a bunch of like super indie Evanston people. Amazing spot. But we did this bit where, because we didn't have a singer, we didn't have Dora at the time. So I introduced the band like over this super cheesy bossa nova beat that they were all playing.
Awesome.
And I remember I was like introducing everybody. And when I introduced Alejandro, I was like, you may recognize this guy because he's been here at the Garage quite a bit. Normally you'll find him running sound, setting up all the mics and gear before the performance, blah, blah, blah. Like I listed off all the things he normally does. And I'm like, but tonight he's still doing all of that, but we made him play drums. And that is exactly how Alejandro fits into the band. Where like he's still doing all of that. Like he's still doing everything in the background. But at some point I stopped drumming.
And it's
and
funny.
That was before the broken leg too. And he was I mean, at some point you were a better drummer than I ever was. But we're still making you produce.
Yeah, like, that's if I could reciprocate to Ale's Love Train, like that's, I think Tilio, you said it perfectly. I think it's like if he can play drums as well as he does on this, like as you can hear on this record, and he still doesn't refer to himself as the drummer, like that's how you know you're dealing with like a once in a generation talent here.
and a parentheses question mark, dude.
Yeah,
like
it's
homies. Yeah, and also we're gonna take it on the Ale Love Train. We're gonna take a stop at Feeney Junction, because I was there in I was there during the Channel 3 days, and like you wrote all of those songs 1,000,000%, but a lot of those were like you just got songs in the reservoir here, dog. And I wonder how many Surrealist tunes have just been clunking around in your perfect pitch ass brain for a while, you know?
Tell you at least 20.
All right, cool. Well, there's our stop at Feeney Junction.
I promise any of them are good, but thank you, man. Appreciate that.
I didn't promise that. Who knows?
I get a sense from this band that there is a sense of collaboration that I think is key to any successful anything, right? Something I've learned over the decade of podcasting that I've been doing is that besides this show, I'm as good as my co-host or my co-producer, because like doing things by myself, I get in the weeds and I need someone to rescue me. And that's why this show has had ups and downs and shifts, but my other shows have been like straight on like a bullet because I've got other people running with me. And it sounds like this band found each other in a place where you needed that guidance, you needed those rails. And even though the music is experimental and psychedelic and kind of sometimes even all over the place and wild, I think it comes from a place of organization and deep care for that music. I could talk to you probably for another 3 hours, but I wouldn't put my audience through that. But I do want to give you guys an opportunity to talk a little bit about where the best place to buy this record is, where the best place to see you guys play, if you have plans to do that, and just where you can be found online, because I genuinely mean it when I say this is one of the best records I've heard this year. And that's saying something, because the Gorillaz just put out a record, which is also excellent. But
that's right. I still need to listen to that.
It's very good. It's much better than the Now, because the Now was disappointing. But I'm not going to go on a Gorillaz tangent. But like genuinely, like I've grown up listening to indie music, tons of garage bands, tons of small outfits here in New York, and like there's always a roughness to all of those artists, and you guys absolutely have that too. But I think what's fantastic is that your production is so serious. You clearly take the music seriously, but you also don't clearly take each other that seriously, right? Like there's a sense of joy and love in this music that isn't always about joy and love, and I think that that's what kind of binds this band together. So I don't know how you want to divide and conquer. Before we sign off the show, I would love for someone, or all of you at once, who knows, to talk about the best place to find y'all online and the best way folks can pick up this record.
Yeah, everybody talk at the same time. Let's do it.
I'm going to trust Dora for this one.
I'm going to start by also just saying, like, yes, you just had us on a podcast for us to, like, love post about each other for an hour. I think the one thing that I want to say that we talk all the time about how silly it is, the different dynamics between the five of us that can happen, like when it's like three of us or two of us or this and that, and like all of them is such a unique dynamic. And I think there are times when we like, we're all super different people, and like there's lots of ways that like a lot of like me and Will are complete opposites in a lot of ways. But the thing about it, that even when our communication is bad, our creative communication is unlike anything I've ever experienced with anyone else in my life. Like playing music with these people is such a different feeling than playing music with anyone I ever have before. And just the like when we're all there doing it just means the world. Like genuinely, it is meaningful, and it feels like it means something. Couldn't tell you what. Maybe it's a shit post. I don't know, but it means something.
Oh, it's definitely a shit post, but it's a good one. It's a really good one. It's like one of the
Yeah.
best you've ever seen, but it's it's a shit post.
So yeah, there's like a lot of just like, I don't know, there's something that I don't think I could articulate about where that love comes from, because it is not from something that I knew before this. And to find us, find that love, find all that, that good love,
to geolocate our love, go to
you
these
can
coordinates.
find us on any given streaming platform under the Surrealists. The album is called As the Tides Rise. If you want to be like a super extra special star, you could buy it on Bandcamp, because ethics.
We like getting paid for the music we did.
It's about a $10 purchase, and that's $10 well spent. And we have a website, thesurrealistband.com. On Instagram, we are the Surrealists Band. It's Surrealist plural, the Surrealists with like STS at the end.
We are. There are 5 of them, so it's plural.
Same with YouTube. Although if you look us up on YouTube, there's also like a strange Irish band also called that, and they're kind of odd,
really?
but we like them. Yeah. We'll get over this later.
Okay, that's sick.
And in terms of playing together, we don't know what the future will hold quite yet.
Okay, that's okay.
Yeah, that's kind of the issue of all 5 of us living in separate states, especially within the next year. We're gonna try and work something out with some permutation of at least 3 out of 5 of us, but I'm sure there will be like, if you follow us on like Instagram or Facebook, like we'll definitely keep people posted
whenever we get the
like,
chance.
Yeah,
honest, I'd love to play in New York, dog, but it's just like we'd all have to get there. Like,
whenever plane ticket prices go down.
Yeah, that's fair.
Exactly. Whenever the price of fuel goes down, catch us everywhere all the time.
Unless people buy our record on Bandcamp.
Oh yeah, if enough people buy the record, we'll just do it even before fuel prices go down. Who cares?
Let us know. We'll come to your city if
once
you
we're rich.
Like,
who cares?
Yeah, exactly. Definitely go check this album out. It's on Spotify. That's how I've been listening to it. It's on Bandcamp. Go buy it. It's $10. You can spend $10. But seriously, thank you all for joining me. I'm so glad that Dora introduced me to the band, and I got to meet all of you. I hope someday to meet you all in person. You should be very proud of the work that you're doing, and you should keep doing it. It's only going to get harder, but I promise you it'll be worth it.
Same with you. You're doing amazing things.
Yeah,
thank you.
Agreed.
I was about to say, man, Matt, you're an amazing person, dog. This has been super enjoyable. Like,
I'm
this
glad.
was such a great experience.
I'm glad. And the last thing I'll have you all do is we have a saying on the podcast, which is music is life and life is good. This idea, it's born out of a music review show that I used to do years ago that now doesn't really exist anymore. But it's this idea that as long as you're making things, even when things get hard, life isn't that bad as long as you're creating. Something I've lived by for a long time. Typically, I have one person say this saying. When there are 2 people on the show, I'll break it in half. We have 5 people. So if you all will do me the honor of signing us off and saying your assigned words / phrases.
Music
is
life.
And
life is good.
That's it for this episode of CPOV Autographs. Our theme music is by Michael Kill. Our logo was designed by Case Aiken and Joey Amons. If you liked the show, please rate and review wherever you get your podcasts. It's a great way to help us reach more listeners. Questions, comments, or guest recommendations? Email mr.matt.storm@gmail.com or hit us up on Twitter at CPOV Autographs. Thank you so much for listening.
Video games are a unique medium.
They can tell stories,
Immerse us in strange, fantastic worlds.
blur the very boundaries of our reality.
But at the end of the day, video games are fun. Whatever fun is to you.
I'm Jeff Moonen,
And I am Matt, a.k.a. Stormageddon.
and on Fun and Games, we talk about the history, trends, and community of video games.
It's a celebration of all the games we play and all the fun we find within them.
And there's so many more games out there, so we hope you'll share in that conversation with us.
Fun and Games podcast with Matt and Jeff. Find us on certainpov.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
And happy gaming.
CPOV. CertainPOV.com.